this is a guy that I think a lot of people are starting to look at and talk about for good reason, because he is a complete NFL workhorse running back. Welcome into the draft profile for Omarion Hampton, running back out of North Carolina. Guys, this dude is a chiseled Greek god of a running back. You build him in a lab, 6 foot, 225. I mean, he just is rocked up physical. He might be 5'11". Who cares? This dude looks the part, absolutely crushed in college, 2 years in a row of almost identical numbers. I imagine he's going to be one of the first running backs off the board. This is a great running back class, absolutely great running back class. So he could somehow end up falling to the 4th or 5th running back taken, and he's just an insane steal, or maybe he's the second running back taken behind Genty, who I think we all kind of agree is the guy, right? But this dude would be the guy in a lot of draft classes, and he is a very, very special talent. Now, before we get into the skill chart and before we break it all down, I do want to just say, this is going to be nuanced, all right? We're going to break it down as best as I can. I'm going to give you all the information I have on him, but it's going to be a little bit of a nuanced conversation because some of his negatives would probably be positive for lesser running backs, right? That's just how it is with a guy at this tier, right? So that's what we're talking about. Let's go ahead and get into it. And yeah, that's pretty close to a circle. This dude's special, man. This dude's special. He's an all-around good running back. First thing I want to talk about, first thing that I feel like we have to talk about, contact balance. It's special. There's no other way to say it. It is special. He has elite contact balance. I mean, I was about to say for his size. No, it's just elite contact balance. This is one of the highest grades that I've ever given a running back for contact balance, but he just bounces off of players. He is so tough to bring down. He is so physical. He is so much fun to watch. Like guys like this that just bounce off running backs, I don't want to say David Johnson. David Johnson is the guy that I always think of when I think of contact balance. That's going to be, I feel like you're going to hear that a lot just because he's kind of the poster child for a dude who just bounced off tacklers, and that's what this guy does. So, like, I think that comp is going to be probably overused because I don't think it's a perfect comp, but I do think for that specific skill set, yeah, it works really, really well. His agility, borderline elite. I mean, he has all of the lateral quickness, all of the lateral ability, explosiveness, one cut. Like, he is more of a one-cut runner. I don't think he's like a phone book type of guy, but he displays all of these abilities. Like, he is just, his hips are on a swivel. He's built really, really well from that perspective. So, yeah, that's a borderline elite grade for me, and I'm a real big fan of his lateral ability. I will say his explosiveness at a 5.8 is a little bit of a dip down, and for a guy like this, that's one of my lowest grades for him. The reason for that is I don't think he has a third gear. I think he has really good initial burst. He has good speed. I'm not really worried about it. I think he's not going to be the fastest guy in the NFL by any means, but he has adequate NFL superstar running back speed. Like, he has everything that we need from that perspective. He doesn't quite have that third gear. Like, if you see him in open space, he doesn't just turn it on to that third gear and just blow by people. I don't feel like that would be kind of where I would make the distinction as far as the way my grade system works. You know, I kind of do have to combine a lot of these things into it, and that's just one of those things that does need a little bit of nuance. That's why it's a tick down for me. His pass protection is actually his lowest grade, and that is something that he's going to need to work on. It's not a bad grade. I didn't think he shows all the physicality for it. As far as the way I grade pass protection for my grade scale, I do try to project it to the NFL. I don't try and say, okay, this is where he's at right now in college, and that's the grade he gets. I try to project it. I will say vision is another thing that, like, I think could be better. We're just going, I know I'm kind of going all around here, but vision, it's kind of connected, and I'll tell you how. I do feel like he sees lanes maybe a touch slow. Now, this is still a positive grade, so I'm not worried about it. Again, like I said, nuanced, right? He doesn't have bad vision by any means. I just saw a little bit too much of, oh, he's running into his blocker. Oh, he kind of hit the lineman on the side and he kind of bounced off. And that's just a little bit of his run style. Like he's kind of a bowling ball type of guy. I say that to say I'm micro worried. That's not a word. I don't know. I'm slightly worried about his ability to consistently read the blitzer and get in position at a, it has to be instantaneous and it has to be every single time, or else you're just not going to be on the field as much as you want to be, right? So that's something I think it's going to take reps. It's going to be worked on. I think it will be an issue his rookie season inside the building. I would go so far as to say that, like, the the on-field production, I don't think you're going to see any issues there, but I do think it'll be something he'll have to work on early on. That's, again, like I said, I want to be as diligent as I can to give you guys all of the things that I saw when I watched the film, right? This is just everything that I saw that I feel like is worth mentioning, all right? Moving on to power, that's another elite grade for me at 7.1. I really, really like his ability to run over guys. He runs with great explosiveness, great burst, and great power. I do think he kind of has it all as far as, like, you build a running back in a lab for all of the things that you need to have to be I would say, elite, workhorse back in the NFL. He has all of that. He runs with great power, and I'm a big fan of that, especially for his size. Now, he's a well-built guy. He's built in a lab to play NFL running back, right? But he's not going to be considered a huge back, right? He's not going to be like Ollie Gordon. I just did a video on him. Dude's like 6'2", 230, like he's a way bigger guy. That's not what Hampton is. He's more of that prototypical size a little bit. So to have that grade at that size is kind of a testament to the way he runs. Pass catching at 6.6. I think he does a really good job of catching the ball outside of his frame. I like his hands just fine from what I saw. And then really, like, the rest of this skill chart is kind of a perfect circle, all in that kind of 6 to 7 range as far as, like, where I broke it down. And that is by no means an insult. Those are really, really good grades for me. His burst at a 6.3 is something that I thought maybe I could have bumped that up. And I'm still, like, as I'm sitting here, I'm like, no, he's got explosiveness. Like, he's got that initial burst. I don't think it's like it didn't wow me. It's just like what I would say is really good. It's a good grade, but for a guy who's just really good at everything he does on the football field, it's not something that kind of sets him apart. So that's kind of where I put it, and that's kind of how I graded it for him. Ability in the open field, just at a solid 6. That's just, I mean, he's great in the open field. I don't think he's super charismatic in the open field. I like to say that. I know that is not what the definition of that word is, but that's how I look at it. Like, does he have kind of extra plans, idea? Like, is he kind of breaking down third level defenders and making guys miss early on? No, I don't really feel like. I feel like he's just kind of one cut and he's gone, and that's just how he is. But he can run over you or just make you miss. He has all of the tools in the tool bag as far as that's concerned. So his ability in the open field is a good grade, and that's not a grade for me. That is the grade on this list that counts the least for my overall grade. The way I kind of built the program, each grade is weighted on a different scale, so each thing kind of means a little bit more or less based on how I grade the running back position. That is actually the least important grade on my list, just because it kind of encapsulates a lot of the other things on this skill chart. So it's maybe not the most important thing to talk about, but overall, just really good. He's just a great player. Like, that's where I'll leave it, man. He's just a great player. This is a dude who I do think, I mean, he's a top 50 pick, I think, all day. And really, like, it's tough because I do think, like I said, he'll be top 50, but the only way he falls out of that and kind of dips in this draft class is just if teams fall in love with other guys. Like, I could see a team falling in love with Caleb Johnson. I could see a team falling in love with one of the Ohio State running backs. Obviously, I think Genty is kind of locked in to be a first-round pick. He'll go probably to the Cowboys. That just feels like what the Cowboys would do, but we'll see. But he's definitely in this conversation of, like, the top running backs in this class. I am getting to a point where I feel like I'm going to get close to having my running back list, but I don't have it yet. I don't have my rankings yet. He's going to be top 3 for me. He's already, at least as far as my preliminary rankings go, some of my final points that I put into my final grade come from the combine, so I just don't have my final grade yet, but I know he's going to be higher than Dylan Sampson on my list. He's going to be right in that same conversation as Caleb Johnson. I really liked Caleb Johnson. I was probably higher than I think most people are going to be on him. But yeah, this is a guy that I think a lot of people are starting to look at and talk about for good reason, because he is a complete NFL workhorse running back. And again, just to kind of break it all down, where I think he fits best, like where do I want him to go? Like I'm thinking second round teams that could use this as a facet of their offense. And I go to the Broncos as a team that, like, yeah, give him this guy. And it's just ridiculous. I know they already drafted a NC State running back a couple of years back. This guy's better. So maybe that just makes too much sense to me. I think the Chiefs could take him in the first round. I really do. I think that makes sense. Like, his run style would complement a Pacheco really, really well. And look, they've already done that once and it didn't really work out with a CEH, but this guy is everything that CEH wasn't coming out. Like, this dude is a little bit bigger, way more explosive, way more physical, like all of the things that I think we thought CEH could be on his best day. I think that's what Hampton is on his worst day. So maybe that makes sense. Again, I'm kind of just running through it in my head as I'm sitting here. And yeah, I feel like you could name half the NFL as a team that, like, any team that doesn't already have a workhorse back, you could put him in here, and I think he fits. I think he's kind of scheme independent. I don't think it matters as far as where he goes schematically. I don't think any of those elements are something that I need to talk about here. I think he's above all that. I just think he can fit almost anywhere. But all right, guys, that's all I got. I mean, this is I don't have much more that I can say. I feel like I always try to give as much nuance and context for a guy, and sometimes with some of these top level prospects, it's just don't overthink it. Don't overthink how good this dude can be. Don't overthink how, like, he is a RB1 in the NFL somewhere. I don't know where, but he's going to be. This time next year, we're going to be talking about a guy who had 1,200 yards in his rookie season and is one of the top fantasy backs and all of these things. I do believe that's the trajectory he's on. Hopefully he goes to a good spot where he can just take the starting job from the jump. And if he doesn't and he has to earn it, I think he'll earn it. I really do. I just think he's that guy. I think he'll be a dog in the NFL. So that's what I got. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Really help the channel. We're growing. This is a draft channel. We talk draft 24/7, all right? Love the NFL draft. I love talking about these guys. I love getting into the weeds to talk about the details of the way they play, and I hope you guys enjoy it as well. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.